Is workers' compensation rigged against injured workers? And what are some of the ways the system is stacked against them? Well, workers' compensation is a no-fault system, which means you don't need to prove fault. If you have a car accident, if somebody rear ends you, you need to prove that the person who hit you was at fault, and it is that negligence that caused you to get hurt. Under workers' compensation here in New York State, you don't have to prove fault. It could be your fault. If you're driving a delivery truck and you're not paying attention and you run a red light and you hit somebody and you get hurt, that's your fault, but you're still entitled to workers' compensation benefits. So it's designed to protect injured workers, and it also protects employers. How does it protect employers? And we've talked about this before. You can't sue them. You can't sue them for punitive damages, pain and suffering. You can't sue your employer, even if they were negligent and they caused your injury. So what does that mean? They're protected against big multi-million-dollar lawsuits, but they have to pay for insurance to make sure that their employees are protected, regardless of who causes them to get hurt. So ultimately, if there is a lawsuit, the injured worker gives up some of those benefits. So they're not going to get the multi-million-dollar benefits or payments that you would see in a lawsuit under workers' compensation. If the person was not working and had that exact same accident, you're looking at multi-million-dollar cases, but because it's a work-related accident, it's limited to what workers' compensation has in terms of benefits and awards. So that's the trade-off. But this puts a lot of power in the hands of the insurance company and your employer. Your benefits are limited to what the law allows here in New York State, and the insurance companies are going to work up to the boundaries of the law. So if there's time limitations on when they can respond to a claim and when they can pay you your benefits, oftentimes they go take those right to the limit. So if they have 30 days to file a particular document providing evidence that might help you, they might wait till the last minute to do that. If they have 20 days to make a payment, they will wait till the 20th day to make the payment. But one thing that's important to understand, here in New York State, we have the workers' compensation law, which is actually designed in favor of the injured worker. There is a presumption that an accident or injury arising during the course of somebody's employment also arises out of their employment. And in order for an injury or a claim to be compensable, your disability must arise out of and in the course of your employment. So what does that mean? I'm sitting here doing my job, talking to a client, typing away, and my computer screen falls over and smashes me in the face and breaks my nose. Well, clearly that's a work-related accident. Now, what happens if I'm sitting here and just out of nowhere, I pass out and fall to the floor? Well, that injury happened in the course of my employment. The presumption is that also happened out of my employment. It was due to my employment. So the law on its face is written in a way to benefit the injured worker. I get clients that come in all the time that say, this judge must be taking money from the insurance company, or something doesn't seem right. And I understand. And you got to understand, you're looking at it from your perspective, which is that of one person involved in one claim. We see it through the eyes of hundreds of clients with every insurance company out there, with every judge out there. And I know that it seems like you're being steamrolled, that this is not fair. And sometimes you're right. And sometimes things happen that really are not fair. And it really pisses me off when it happens. But generally speaking, to say that there's nefarious hands at play here, it's not true. You know, the judges are not on the take. The insurance companies aren't doing things illegally. And I understand every individual opinion on the topic, but on the whole, everything's above board. And it's just a matter of dealing with those trends one way or another. How is the workers' compensation rigged in favor of insurance companies, and what advantages do they have over injured workers? So number one, they know the system inside and out. And an injured worker with their first, even second or third claim, you're not going to know all the ins and outs of the system. And these insurance companies are huge companies, and they have lawyers and accountants and actuaries, and it's their business. Take in as much money as they can, pay out as little as possible. And that's why a lot of these insurance companies are multi-million dollar corporations, because they know what they're doing. And you, not only do you not know what you're doing, but you're dealing with an injury. You just fell off a ladder. You just got hit by a car. How on earth are you going to deal with that and try to brush up on the law so you know what they can and can't do? And you might not be getting paid. You have to go see the doctor, and you're expected to figure out what legal ramifications have when you do certain things. You're working from behind. Off the bat, insurance companies, they're one step ahead of you, which is why the first thing you do, go get yourself medically stable. Get the medicine you need, get yourself on the road to recovery. But after that, go speak to a lawyer. This way, you get yourself on an equal playing field, and you're not working from behind anymore, and you don't have to worry about it. My existing clients will attest to exactly what I'm going to say. I tell each and every one of them, we're going to take care of it. Whatever questions you have, call the office. We'll take care of it. Your job now, moving forward, is to take care of yourself, get better, and go back to work, and call me when you do that. We will take care of all the paperwork. We will take care of all the phone calls. We will take care of all the hearings. Anything you need to do, we're going to prep you for. We're going to talk to you, let you know what's going on. Insurance companies have teams of attorneys. You need to have a lawyer who knows what they're doing so that you can combat this. Otherwise, you're going to get overwhelmed and steamrolled. Not only do they have lawyers, they have adjusters, nurse case managers. They have people who are trained in how to deal with you you, the injured worker. And sometimes they deal with you in a way that gives you the basics of what you might need, your basic treatment, some financial recovery, some financial award for your accident and injuries, but it doesn't always get you the maximum of what you're going to get. And they oftentimes have a way of selling it to you to make you think like you've gotten everything that you're entitled to, when it's not always true. We had a client in here today. We just signed up his case last week, and he came in, he wanted to just get a status update, and he said that his adjuster called him today to tell him that his surgery was authorized and that everything's going great. And he says, oh, great, that's great news. I just want to let you know I hired an attorney. And she says, you don't have to do that. You shouldn't have done that. And that's terrible. Why would you tell somebody that? Why would you want to keep them from getting legal representation that's only going to facilitate how this case is handled? It's going to help everybody. It's not about the money. It's about getting the protection that you're entitled to. So that's the things that they do. And they're trained in how to deal with you. And you should have somebody who's trained to defend you. But what things can insurance companies do? One thing that happens, you're on workers' compensation. You're not working. You're getting compensation benefits, which under the best set of scenarios is 2/3 of your weekly salary. So you're getting less money per week, which makes it tough to live on. And sometimes those benefits need to be paid within a certain schedule. They will work to the extremes of those schedules. So benefits, as we know, are awarded weekly, but insurance companies pay them bi-weekly. Why do they pay them bi-weekly? Well, they're within the time frame that the law allows, so they're not late if they pay them every 2 weeks. And when you're getting your check every other Wednesday or every other Friday, and you're getting used to it and you're living your life based upon that, and now something happens where they can stretch that a little bit and maybe jump it over to the next Monday, or you had a hearing and they're going to stop your check and waiting to see what happens, and now your check's coming every Tuesday, but maybe they missed a week, but they're going to make it up. They don't mess with your money to mess with you, but by stretching the payment schedules out to the limits of what the law allows, it messes with you. And I can't tell you how many calls we get from clients that are freaking out that their check comes every 2 weeks on Wednesday, and now their check's not here. And well, I scheduled all my auto bill pay to come on Thursday, and now I don't have a check, and now I can't pay my bills. What do I do? You know, when I get a complaint like that, we check and see, are those payments in fact late? And if they are, we try to get late payment penalties, but they're not always late. And sometimes there's a reason that a judge is going to find acceptable. And ultimately, what do they really get out of it? Even if we prove that they're late, it's 20% of that check. So what's 20% of a $600 check? $120 that we're going to get you? Is that going to save the day? No. If your bills are late, you're going to get hammered for it. That $120 is probably not going to do much, but you know, the same thing happens with medical treatment. As we've talked about in the past, if your doctor requires medical testing, medical treatment, something like that, that needs to be authorized. And generally, the insurance company has 30 days to respond to that request. But what do? They wait their 30 days. And on the 30th day, they issue their response. And now you're going, okay, well, what's step 2? Step 2 is having the doctor request reconsideration. There's another 30 days. Now we're talking 2 months here to get a surgery, to get an MRI, to get something that's supposed to help you. And they stretch what they do to the limits of what the law allows. So you can't go after them. What do? I used to use the term a lot. They starve you back to work. What else can they do? IMEs. When there's a dispute as to your level of disability, your need for treatment, anything that has any medical origin, they're going to send you to an IME. Who's their IME doctor? 9 times out of 10, it's a guy that does IMEs all the time. It's a doctor that's getting paid by the insurance company. It's a doctor who oftentimes many people see as biased. And we at least have the opportunity to cross-examine those doctors and to show how they're wrong. But that's what they're going to do. And sometimes that prolongs things. Judge, I know what they're requesting. We're going to send for an IME. And you got to give us 90 days to do that. 75 days, 60 days. 60 days is 2 months. It's a long time. That's part of how they use the system to their advantage. They can challenge parts of your case. You could file a claim and they could say, we're accepting this claim without liability and we're going to start paying you. But if something pops up that we're not so sure about, we could controvert and contest whether that's all or part of your case. And that could throw a monkey wrench into the works. You could be getting your treatment and your benefits for 2, 3, 4, 5 months. And next thing you know, you're back to square one fighting your case. So that's part of what insurance companies can also do. They can trick you into accepting less than you are owed. So this is what I see a lot of times. They will pull every trick we've discussed up until this point, and then they say, take 15 grand, it's money in your pocket, go on your merry way, and we never have to do this again. And you can have a significant case, significant injuries, a very good claim, and you just got the crap kicked out of you for the last 2, 3 months. You're living off your savings if you're lucky enough to do that. Some people don't have that, and they haven't paid the rent or their mortgage, and they're freaking out because they don't have a dollar, and somebody's now offering you 10, 15, 20 grand. Yeah, I need that money. And it causes a lot of people to sell out their case for less than they're worth because they're desperate. And I get it. I can't begin to tell you, and it breaks my heart, how many clients I've had sitting across the desk from me, and their medicals show that they need surgery, and they're totally disabled, and the insurance company is contesting their claim for whatever reason, and they say, I'm going back to work tomorrow. And I say, how are you going back to work? Your doctor says you're totally disabled, and you're waiting for spine surgery. And they tell you, I gotta feed my kids. And you know something? Go to work. You gotta do what you gotta do, my friend, and I'm never gonna tell you otherwise. But it's a really shitty situation to be in. So that's what happens. And it really makes me want to go out there and do even more and do the best I can to try to get you guys everything you're entitled to. What else does the insurance company do? Surveillance. This is a stigma. Pisses me off a lot of times when you go into court and an insurance company attorney says, we have some questions. They ask you a couple questions and they say, Judge, we have surveillance. Just mentioning it puts a stigma on your case. And you see now a judge is sometimes going to look at you with a crooked eye. Oh, they got something on you. They haven't proved anything yet. They haven't even shown us the effing video yet. They just mentioned that they have surveillance. There are times that they mention it and that's the last we ever hear of it. But they can put surveillance on you and they can use it against you. And again, you're working from behind. Other things they could do, they could drag your case out. Not only going to controvert your claim and raise notice issues of controversy and fight things, but then they have appeals. There's no set time frame on appeals here in New York State. You know, when an appeal gets filed, it goes up to Albany. The board panel of commissioners reviews it and they make their decision. But from what I understand, it gets put into a pile and they first come, first serve, and they work through it. That's going to drag your case out. And it could potentially be a period of time up to a year, maybe more, where you're not getting any money. It'll make you crazy. If your doctor determines that you have a partial disability or a judge determines that you have a partial disability, they can obligate you to look for work. That's going to make you cause problems and put you in a position where you're operating from behind. Now you're hurt, and for whatever reason, there's a finding of a partial disability. Even if it's an 80 or 90% disability, you got to go look for work within your restrictions. So you got to be very careful. That's why I do what I do, and that's why you really need an attorney to get through this. If you want to call me, if anybody has any questions, please always give me a call. 212-406-8989. I am Rex Sikofsky. I am your workers' compensation attorney. Anything you need, please give me a call and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks.